Hello, everybody, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Hot Takes. My name is TJ, and I'm joined by my constant co-host, Sottle. Sottle, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. New season. I'm sure it's going to be the same old story, me absolutely crushing you week after week and getting 0% of the credit I deserve, TJ.
Well, we'll see. We're going to go back to the original rule set, which is we give a hot take, and you get to pick your side of the hot take first, and then I will provide my rebuttal. And without further ado, let's get into hot take number 1. Blyze is overrated.
I mean, obviously he is not. You would have to be some kind of crazy person, TJ Sanders, to be able to argue the other side of this one. The results speak for themselves. It's impossible to argue with. He is just up there with the absolute best at the moment. He makes the game look easy because apparently it absolutely is for him. He's on a different level right now, crushing everything in front of him. Led the Order of Merit in the hardest region, qualified for Grandmasters, came in Grandmasters, did everything he could have done. You can only beat what's put in front of you, and so far he's passed every single test.
I do think he's overrated. The reason being is because I don't think he's proven yet with his play, not with his results, with his play, that he is a fantastic Hearthstone player. It seems like at every turn, the game just decides that Blyze is going to win. I mean, just look at his run through the semifinals and finals this past week. It just seemed like whenever he needed an out, the game just gave him an out. And I feel like his instinctual play just has some holes. And we just haven't got to a point where that's been fully tested yet. So, yeah, Blyze is overrated.
Just one quick rebuttal. Continuity alert. I believe last season you countered a point about Yala being the best player in Europe by calling out that Blyze was, in fact, the best player in Europe. So, interesting flip-flop you've got going on there, TJ.
That was a long time ago, man. I've had a kid since then, so things change.
An entire life has been brought forth to the world since that happened. Yeah, fair enough.
Perspectives change, my friend.
Okay.
Let's go into hot take number 2. Collectively, this past weekend was the lowest level of play we've ever had in Grandmasters.
Ooh. I will once again argue the positive here. I can't be certain without going back through many, many weeks of many seasons of Grandmasters and comparing anything, but it certainly was a fairly low standard. There were mistakes across the board. There were missed lethals from players who were usually expecting to be very solid, but really, what can you expect? Like, Hearthstone has blown up in everyone's faces with this expansion. All the decks are different. All the interactions are different. The card text is so much more complicated than it used to be. I think the matchups have got much harder to play across the board, so it's something that we should expect, but I think that is true, and hopefully it will change in the coming weeks.
I have a very quick rebuttal here. I don't think it's the lowest level of play we've had in Grandmasters so far, because we had an entire season of Asia Pacific Grandmasters earlier this year. So, boom. That's it. Look at that. That's the first time I've ever come in under time.
No rebuttal necessary. Yeah, I mean, well played, TJ.
1-1. We're all tied up going into the final hot take, so let's go. Hot take. I put up a 2. It's actually hot take number 3. Oh, geez. Raven is right.
Stop there.
Demon Hunter is due for a resurgence with a 68% win rate in week number 1.
I mean, the clue is in the hot take right now. If you're starting something off with Raven is right, obviously that's nonsense, and obviously I'm going to argue the contrary. So we're talking about Soul Demon Hunter, Demon Soul Hunter, depending on which way around you want to call it. He thinks it's a very powerful deck, and I agree. I think on ladder it's reasonable. It has been for a few days. The problem is bringing that into the metagame that we have right now. It's not great against Bomb Warrior. It's not great against regular Priest. It's okay against Highlander Priest. So against the meta that we've got, I don't think you have enough bans available to really leverage that as a deck that can carry yourself to victory. So I think, as always, Raven's analysis is surface level and shallow.
All right, well, I guess I have to disagree with this one. I think Demon Hunter is due for a resurgence. And with a surprising point, I think that Demon Hunter is one of the decks that is going to take a little bit more time to refine. It took players a long time, and albeit many nerfs, to realize that like Warglaves of Azeroth was a sick card and should be included in decks. It was a long time, even with the high power level, for players to determine what the actual lineup for a Demon Hunter was. So I honestly think that it has the tools. And all other decks are still trying to go through these processes with the changes made to some of the decks that can do well against Demon Hunter. I think that Demon Hunter is due for a resurgence.
You're literally agreeing with Raven, TJ. Like, I don't know where you expect this one to go. Come on, have you not learned at this point? How long have you known that man?
Too long?
There you go. Now
I feel bad bullying Raven when he's not even here. I mean, usually you know that I love to take part in the sport that is bullying Raven, but it's usually when he's there, you know? Which is, you know, the complete opposite of you, where I only like bullying you when you're not here. This one's a little bit too close to call, so you know what, Sottle? I'm going to let you decide who wins.
I was not expecting to be put into this position. But I think you scored it pretty fairly throughout the first 2 rounds. I think calling it a draw up until that point, 1-1, makes sense. But I don't think you've given me any other option going into round 3. You chose to agree with Raven, which is an automatic concession of the round. So I have to score it 2-1 to me.
Well, unfortunately, you've just broken rule number 8B in Section 6 of the Hot Takes rulebook, whereas TJ is the only person who is allowed to give scores in Hot Takes in all of the episodes. So, unfortunately, you'll have to be disqualified for this episode, and I've been awarded a default victory.
Unlucky.
Unlucky. That's right. So, that's going to be it for us for Episode 1, Season 2 of Hot Takes. We'll see you next week for more hot Hearthstone action.
Okay.